Hey guys, been a while. Been a long while since I went live with y'all, but I thought I wanted to come in here and make some comments about my city. It's been really wild lately. Just watching from abroad, it just seems like gun violence has taken over the boroughs, especially the Bronx and parts of Queens. And then there are also some areas in Brooklyn too. And I mean, honestly, I heard some Staten Island stuff as well. And Manhattan is just full of drug addicts and mental patients. So the city has changed so much since COVID happened, since we were all inside. It has been changing before that. I mean, we knew a lot of these changes were coming. We knew that Rikers was going to get closed. We knew that new prisons were going to get built. Um, we knew that homeless people and mentally unstable people were going to get evicted from those hotels that they had them in. We knew that a lot of this was coming. So it's really crazy to me that New York is in such a perilous state. It just really is. Every day there's gun violence and it's reached a new high. I mean, every day I'm sitting abroad and I'm watching and I'm seeing that there's gun violence every day. And to me, it's one of the most baffling things to me that people ask me, why would you move to this place? Or why would you move to that place? New York's not any more dangerous than any of the places you chose to go to. But the thing is, these places don't have guns, and everyone in New York has guns. Everyone, everyone has them because the criminals have them, the bandits have them, and basically, once those people have them, ordinary citizens get them for their own protection, whether they're licensed or not. So there's just so many guns in New York. I can't lie, it's just a bad situation for them to be in. And I think that this time we really do need to analyze what's going on in our community because when you look around, it's just nothing but black youth. Can't lie. So to be honest with you, it's one of the main reasons why I chose to move. Like staying in New York and knowing that there was going to be an uptick in crime, like just seeing the trend and how shit was going, like, and we were blessed that the crime didn't hit when everyone was first coming out of COVID and hanging out in the parks and all that kind of stuff. And when, like that first year, at the end of that first year. But to be honest with you, I'm getting so confused about what they're doing about the place. It seems like the NYPD has lost control. I mean, I do, I do see that's not true. I do see them bringing in suspects, and I do see them bringing in leads and following up leads. But the fact that there's no preventative measures I guess they're trying to get guns back by having people voluntarily take them and bring them in. But the thing is that because we have that Second Amendment, it is everyone's right to have a firearm. So most people are not bringing in their guns, whether they're legal or illegal. And I feel like that is one of the reasons why we're at a standstill. This is a literal checkmate in gun violence in America. Like they basically can't move forward because our amendment says we can bear arms, but then I mean, what are they gonna say? Oh, black people, y'all can't have no guns. Like, I mean, they basically do say that in some of these democratic states. I'm not gonna lie. Like here in New York, I'm abroad, but in my state in New York, they really do deter us from having weapons. And there was a whole thing going on last year with a gentleman, a white guy from upstate, who was trying to like, I guess he's going up against the Supreme Court. I don't know what he's doing, but I know that he wants to be able to have his gun license or something like that. And he's getting a lot of pushback, and maybe he had a license and it got revoked. I don't know what happened, but it's always a problem when it comes down to having a weapon to defend yourself in New York. So I feel like the cops have to be involved, but at the same time, the community is really the community is in a really bad state and there's just not enough cops to cover all the ground that's necessary. That's what it seems like to me. I mean, I know I see cop cars for every 10 civilian cars. There's no for every 8 or 7 or 8 civilian cars, there's a cop car, and that can be. a crazy sight when you're driving as a driver. But then in times like this, you have to lean on these cops to keep these youth in line, because people are out here shooting guns every day. Every day, someone's getting shot. I mean, there was like, this the title of this YouTube show of this show. Me coming back to YouTube with you guys is Let's Play a Game, NYC Crime, right? You pick the date and I will pull the story. And just to get us started, I can just pull a couple stories from today or yesterday or whatever day. Literally, today is the 17th. There are stories that I can pull. So just letting you know, it's reached an all-time high. People are saying that it's not as bad as it seems and it's propagandized and that, but these people are dead though. So it's real. And the thing is like, do you want to live in those communities? I live in a Black community. Even though it's gentrified a bit, there's still Gates Avenue, there's still Lexington, there's still Clifton, there's still Willoughby, there's still all these fucking streets where all these projects and these gang kids convene. And who's to say they're not on a regular block? Who's to say they're not on Nostrum right there? Who's to say they're not on Bedford? You know what I mean? So the thing is, these kids have torn up the city. They have torn it up. And it's not just them, it's a combination of the reckless youth and it's also the mentally unstable. Some of those people have weapons as well, because getting a weapon is so easy in New York now. It is one of the easiest things to do. It's like buying trees or literally buying milk at the store. You can get a weapon so quickly. You ask a couple people, someone will call you. So just know that, um, but it's not acceptable. People need to be trained in how to use their weapons. People need to have licenses. People need to have registered guns. Now they're talking about ghost guns. I saw something last week where Mayor Adams was talking about ghost guns and how the ghost guns were seeping into New York City streets, and how it's just a profit center for some of these weapons dealers. And my thing is, so if you have all this information, go do something with it. I mean, they said something about picking up uh, 26 ghost gun or two, I don't know, a small amount of ghost guns that were turned in. And I felt like that was a start, but there was more to it that needed to be done. And it's just unfortunate. Like, I'm at an age where I want to have children and I want to have a family. And how you suspect that you're going to do that in a place like New York? That's why I had to leave. I mean, there's nothing that you can do in a place like that. There's nothing that you can attain. Anything that you have now, your laptop job, you got to run with that, because New York is in a place where it needs serious rehabilitation. And it is up to all of the people that are there to make it better. It's really not anyone else's responsibility but the people that are there. And if you have kids that are in those gangs, you could try to talk them out of that. I don't know what you're going to do, but that is your responsibility to the community to keep it safe. Aside from what the cops are going to do, which is lock your son and nephew up if he doesn't act right. And it's like, I feel bad for them too. I hate to see all the young Black boys getting locked up, all the young Hispanic boys getting locked up, but they're making choices every day based off of the music they listen to, based off of the imagery that they intake, based off of the people that they follow on social media. And I feel like it's just too much. I feel like it's gotten to a point now where there's no control over what the youth do. We can't even influence them to do better because they want to behave like hooligans. They do. It's what they want to do. It's cool. It's been made cool to behave like a hooligan now. It's been made cool to behave like a complete clown and not know yourself and kill people in your community and injure people's grandmas and uncles and kill people. And uh, somebody even took a dog, even though the dog was returned. Like, people are stealing dogs too. What's wrong with you guys? Shit is crazy, honestly. And from abroad, people don't believe me when I say I'm safer here because I'm in Africa and I'm in a place that people would say traditionally is not safe. But I am safer here. There are no guns. There's no handgun and semi-automatic and no rifle or any of that shit. No assault rifle. There's none of that. The only people that have those things are the police, and they're using that very sparingly and for certain particular operations. And very rarely are you seeing anyone actually try to shoot someone. Like, it's crazy to me. Now, let's see. I want to pull up I was just watching. Oh yeah, this is as of today, and I want to share this with y'all. Share. Let's. All right. Get large.
Gun violence in the city wreaking havoc.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm going to share this. I just watched this before I came on Guys Watch.
Gun violence in the city wreaking havoc, and things are getting worse. Now, just terrible. An 11-year-old girl has died after being struck by a stray bullet in the Bronx. Fox 5's Reagan Medji live in the Longwood section with the very latest this morning. And Reagan, they are still searching for these suspects.
They are an 11-year-old Kiahara Tay, taken way too soon. She was hanging outside with her family when there was gunfire that erupted about a half a block away. Well, a stray bullet ended up traveling that distance, hitting her in the abdomen. I'll step out of the way. You can see behind me, there is a memorial placed where Kiahara was. You can see that there are candles lit and beautiful messages of love for that little girl. This surveillance video showing two men on a scooter chasing another man on Fox Street in the Longwood section of the Bronx. The passenger in the back firing a weapon. One of those bullets traveling a half block away and striking 11-year-old Kiahara Tay in the abdomen. These witnesses explain they were inside a nail salon when the little girl ran inside.
She was sitting in the chair right next to me, and then she ended up passing out on the ground. We tried to see what it was because we didn't know it was on her leg or her chest. So she stopped responding, and I was like, remove her sweater. And then we see that was there, and she ended up putting pressure on her stomach until the ambulance got there.
Mother said that she doesn't even allow her to go outdoors because she's just afraid.
Mayor Eric Adams, attending a memorial vigil in Harlem for the Buffalo mass shooting, explains he was at Lincoln Hospital with the little girl's family when he received the heartbreaking news.
And I went to the hospital and I prayed with them. The doctors stated that they were going to work on her throughout the night. My staffer just leaned over to me and said, "We lost her."
And now police are trying to figure out who is responsible while carrying the weight of another child shot in their borough.
This is very, very difficult for us to accept. This is the second child that's shot in this borough this year, an 11-month-old and now an 11-year-old. It is troubling that this is happening in our society today when the NYPD, we know how to fight crime, and we're doing it to the best of our ability. And I think the other parts of the criminal justice system need to step up and take their responsibility for what's going on.
And here we have that memorial, and a person just appears to be maybe on their way to work, stopping by and looking at this memorial. And it says, "Rest in peace, baby girl. We love you always," from the family, in addition to "Gone but never forgotten," with Kiahara Tay's name also written on the bottom of that box with the candles and the stuffed animals. So obviously a very emotional situation here as police continue to try to figure out who exactly is responsible. They say it was very busy that time, right before 5 o'clock last night when this shooting occurred, and they're hoping that someone saw something. And if you did, police are waiting for your call. We're live here in Logwood section of the Bronx. Reagan Medji, Good Day, New York. Dan, back to you.
Important messages as police search for answers. Reagan, thank you very much.
Okay, guys, what do you think about that, huh? A little girl got killed by a stray bullet. I mean, it's just, may she rest in peace. It's just insane to me. We can't have a society where kids are getting hit by stray bullets. I mean, I understand that was something that was common in the 90s, but we got over that crime. And now to see the crime coming back in such a amplified way, it's just so loud. The crime, even though it may be true that New York City is actually less dangerous than it was in the 90s overall in terms of statistics, etc. But on a day-to-day basis, if you can't ride that train because there are people getting pushed on the train or people getting robbed on the train, shot on the train or whatever, people trying to bomb trains, if you can't ride that train and your kids can't go to school or walk around on a playground or walk around outside, even to the corner store without getting shot, then I think the city's not necessarily going in a good direction, right? Like, listen, just let me give you another one. My history. Every day I see something. So oh, I thought this was interesting. I know I mentioned this earlier, but we can watch this for a second.
Construction continues to move.
Hold on. I'm gonna share another one too. And I think this is kind of interesting. I should always have my links just set up better, but here we go.
Forward, New York City's construction continues to move forward for New York City's new borough-based jail program. Signage has gone up in Kew Gardens. The Department of Design has restricted access near 82nd Avenue as they begin the groundwork for the new jail. The project met with outrage from those who live and work in the area.
I'm upset. I'm very, very upset. It will devalue the property.
The project is part of an $8.3 billion plan to close down Rikers Island by 2027 and create 4 smaller jails in Queens, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. The first jail being constructed is in Kew Gardens and is meant to replace the vacant Queens detention complex. Right now, construction is.
Hold on, guys, and I should have muted my mic because I'm sure you guys heard some echo. Did they just say Kew Gardens? Is that for real? They put the prison in Kew Gardens. How disrespectful. We all know that Kew Gardens is a decent residential community with good people that work hard. No one wants to be surrounded by a prison. So, or even have a prison in the vicinity. Like, I understand the prison is just a building and people are inside of it. There's even a prison in downtown Brooklyn, a detention center. There's a couple. But people didn't work hard and buy houses in Queens to have to deal with inner city issues. You know, people in Queens are kind of like on the way to living in the suburbs. I always see it like that. And they really didn't pay for that kind of lifestyle. So I feel like if that's not what they want in the community, why not move it to another place? It doesn't benefit them to lose property value just to institutionalize people that they don't even care about. Let's be honest. They don't care about the people that are going in those jails. And it just is what it is. Let's see.
Underway for a parking garage and a
community space. The new Queens Jail will have 886 beds and a separate facility for female inmates. James Palumbo, an attorney, says having a new jail in Kew Gardens will be more convenient for him.
As an attorney, it's just easier to visit your clients there. So, and I don't think people are going to be escaping. So I think it's not a bad thing.
I just don't want it in the neighborhood. I think they, in my opinion, they should have fixed right violent instead.
But Julianne Harris Calvin with the Vera Institute of Justice disagrees. She believes community-based jails would take a more humane approach and reduce reincarceration.
Rikers has had a long history of being incredibly violent. There is no way of changing that culture.
The city's Department of Design is expected to complete the first phase of the Queens Jail before the end of the year. In Kew Gardens, Lisette Nunez, Fox 5 News.
Sorry, I was muted. What she's saying is basically they want us to have prisons in our boroughs because they think it brings down recidivism, and it might. Although we don't know that for a fact. And then she's saying that they should fix Rikers. It was incredibly violent. So I'm confused about what's going on in New York. I'm confused about, is there money? Is there a money issue? Is there a reason why? I mean, it can't be a money issue if they're building 4 facilities. I mean, there's already detention centers in Brooklyn. So I'm guessing they're putting something. I mean, there's a little holding facility in every borough. So I'm really confused about what they're building and why they're spending this money. But to be honest with you, this is exactly what happens in a place like New York. Shit is just, every day is a struggle to keep the place pure and to keep the place with high energy but low crime, because there's a way to minimize crime, which is to ship most of those people out of here and get them out of New York. But to be honest with you, that's something that the government hasn't allotted money for, to relocate all these people. And I really think that we're just in a place right now overall in America where the society is just more violent in general. It's just a more violent society in general. I mean, we just saw the Buffalo. I don't know if y'all saw that, but let me see if I can pull that one for you guys, because I know you've seen this.
All I can speak to is,
Let me share it with you guys. What's going on with the Buffalo shooting that was going on a couple days ago.
We begin in Buffalo, where police say the shooting suspect who opened fire in that grocery store over the weekend had plans to continue his rampage. The police commissioner for the city says there is evidence the suspect would have possibly targeted another superstore.
Instead, the suspect was arrested at the scene after killing 10 people and wounding 3 others. The attack was racially motivated. 11 shot were black. CBS News anchor Tony DeCopel joins us now from Buffalo with more on our coverage. Tony, it's good to see you.
Hi guys, good to see you as well. I wish we were under better circumstances. I can tell you it's still a very scene over here, and not only because of the weather. People are coming out because they're in disbelief still that this could have happened in their community, and there really isn't nothing like understanding. So the best we can do here, tell you what happened. It's important to note that the 18-year-old suspect, he allegedly traveled more than 3 hours from his own hometown, from the pool in the backyard, to target this business in this predominantly black community in particular. And that's why the shooting is being investigated as a hate crime at this hour. And for more on the whole investigation on all of it and what we know at this hour, I want to bring in CBS News' Bradley Blackburn, who is also here in Buffalo with me, and he's got the latest developments.
As investigators comb through evidence Monday, officials say the suspected gunman in this weekend's mass shooting at a Buffalo supermarket had plans to continue his deadly rampage.
If not for the quick response of the Buffalo Police Department, he certainly would have killed in this immediate area.
Hearing in court Saturday in a paper gown and mask, the 18-year-old pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. He's also likely to face federal hate crime and domestic terror charges. Investigators say he specifically targeted the store in a predominantly black community because he wanted to kill as many black people as possible.
For something like this to happen, to be targeted, it's shocking.
One of 10 lives lost was 86-year-old Ruth Whitfield, the mother of the city's retired fire commissioner.
We are in a place that we never expected to be. My mother was the glue that held us together.
Investigators say the plotted this attack over several months, and they're examining a 180-page document he apparently posted online, describing himself as a white supremacist and anti-Semite. New York State officials say the teenager, who lived hundreds of miles away, had threatened a shooting at his high school last year.
The individual was brought in for a mental health evaluation. He was evaluated and then he was released.
President Biden is expected to travel to Buffalo Tuesday to grieve the community. Bradley, CBS News, Buffalo, New York.
So now they want to say it was racially motivated. The man came into a black community and aired a store out. What can we do? I mean, we really just have to. One of the reasons why I left the States, and I do plan on coming back. I plan on going back and forth. But one of the reasons why I left is because of this. I mean, how do you envision having a family with little kids running up the block, while shootouts are happening? I mean, if it's not one of the young gang members and a ricochet bullet, then it's a white supremacist coming from a whole different area into your community. And I understand that's Buffalo, but that's still New York. That's still a black community. People think they're going to leave the city and go to some of these communities and live better. And then to think that you, like that lady said, to think that you're targeted, like you're actually being targeted. And then what kind of punishment is he going to get? 10 people died. So there's just so much going on. I just want to, like I said, you pick the date and I can just pull the story. Literally, I'll just take an arbitrary date off the calendar and seriously, April 15th, why don't we take that? Why don't we go for April 15th, right? Just pick a random. Oh, I don't even know what day this is, but one of the main stories from a month ago, right?
Now, there were
On April 12th. Can't forget this one. Can't forget this one.
a number of what they thought were explosives that were found at the scene. They seem to be either
smoke bombs or dummy devices. One smoke bomb was detonated, as we did tell you, as the train, when it pulled into the 24th Street station, as the train doors opened, a smoke device was thrown onto the train, and then the shooter fired indiscriminately. They're not sure if it is one shooter or multiple shooters, but they do have one suspect that they are looking for at this time.
And the question is whether that person was wearing a gas mask or some sort of face covering. And we, of course, are following all of that. We have a team of reporters live on the scene for you. Let's go to Elijah Westbrook. He is live with the very latest information. Elijah.
Yeah, well, Chris and Mary, I can tell you it's a very active scene here. We're live right now on 4th Avenue and 35th Street, just down the block from the 36th Street train station where all this went down. You can see a heavy police presence at this hour. Details slowly coming into our newsroom at this hour regarding the situation, but we know that multiple people have been injured as a result of there's some sort of shooting or some sort of explosive device that was set off. Again, we are working to confirm this information, but you can see that this is a very fluid and active situation. This is information that is coming into us from the NYPD. You can see several city blocks have been shut down as a result of all this. The bombs.
I dropped the link in the chat, but honestly, this is something that you guys this is a 4-hour stream of just straight coverage. And I mean, one of the biggest stories from a month ago, right? There's so many more. There's so many more. So many more. Oh, what's this one? Oh, this one. Forgot about this.
I'm Bill Ritter. We do talk a lot about guns.
All right, Eyewitness News.
I'm Bill Ritter. We do talk a lot about gun insanity here on Eyewitness News these days, and tragically,
it was on full display across New York City yesterday. 9 shootings on Memorial Day. 9 shootings, a total of 15 victims.
7 of those shootings happened in a span of just 6 hours between 4:45 in the afternoon and 10:40 at night. And it was gun violence in all 5 boroughs. One person, a 15-year-old, was killed.
We'll say that again. A 15-year-old was killed. In one of those shootings, 5 people were hurt. This exclusive video, that shootout in the Bushwick section of Brooklyn. Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett obtaining this video, and he joins us live at the scene now.
Right, Bill, Mayor de Blasio told me today that he can feel it in his bones. The city of New York is turning around. But try telling that to the people of Bushwick, Brooklyn, or the people in Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, or Staten Island. Yes, there were shootings last night in all of those places. 5 people shot here on this street corner alone.
I wasn't here, so I'm glad I wasn't here.
Neighbors know how lucky they were. It was just before 8 p.m. 2 groups of young men are standing outside the neighborhood bodega. Suddenly, one of them opens fire, and it's pandemonium. 5 will be hit with gunshots to the chest and back, in the arms and legs. Amazingly, no bystanders were wounded, but it was only one of several shootings last night. In just 6 hours, there were 7 shootings with 13 victims. One of them, a 15-year-old in Harlem, was killed. A rising tide of gun violence that touched every borough last night. And it all comes as police have struggled for weeks to control violent assaults in the New York City transit system. Today, we asked Mayor de Blasio to explain what's happening and what he's doing about it.
What do you say to people who believe that the crime genie is out of the bottle and you don't know how to stuff it back in?
I understand the fear. I really do. And there's a persistent concern, which I've heard now for decades in this city, of are we going to go back to the bad old days? And I really try my best to help people understand there are so many reasons why that is not going to happen.
That was around June of last year. So that was just the heat of the summer last year before things got crazy. Imagine how it's going to be this year. I mean, the place is wild. The place is insane. So just know there's just so much going on in terms of crime. Like, don't be surprised. This, to me,
The mayor believes that a return to normal economic activity will stem the time, as well as a fully functioning court system.
But so far, the surge in shootings this year is up to 573, leaving a trail of 652 victims, an increase of 78% over 2020. But the mayor believes his policing strategy will ultimately prevail and insists he's focused on the future.
I'm convinced
We are going to turn this city around and have recovery for all of us. I can feel it in my bones.
in my bones.
didn't happen. Just didn't happen. It got worse. Like, I mean, you guys can just go through this yourself, but there has been just so much, especially with this Buffalo shooting, just knowing it was racially motivated. So you had one guy that was crazy in the head in the subway, and then you had another guy who was crazy in the head and was a white supremacist. So we are getting attacked on both fronts, by crazies in our community and by crazies outside of our community. We are safer in Africa, guys. I just want to say that. I know that certain places are very dangerous. I know that there are cultural wars going on, but to be honest, we are safer. We really are safer in Africa. I'm not gonna lie. It's just.
Time to literally talk a lot.
I mean, there's just so much going on in the city. Like, my question is, what? I understand that they're having press conferences every day, and now I'm starting to understand my homeboy's point. Why are they having press conferences every day, and people are still getting killed at this rapid rate? I mean, when I watched that press conference about the ghost guns, I was scared for my city. Like, let me just let you know, ghost guns ain't going nowhere. So. Hey. I mean, like, when I watched this press conference about the ghost guns from the mayor's office, I felt like the city's gone. Like, let's just watch this one. Let's watch this one, because this one right here, this is when I felt like the city was gone. This was on May 11th. Literally, that was only 6 days ago. I want you guys to understand, this is when I knew, like, yo, the city is gone. There's no returning back to this place for a long time, period. You could be there for 3 days and get shot, just living your regular life, going to the gym, eating, hanging out, and it's going to seep into the nice communities. Right now, it's just in the hood sections, but it's going to seep out because these young kids are going to want to hang out during the summer. And they're going to try to spend their little ghetto money or whatever, their little trap money. They're going to try to spend their money in the same restaurant where me and you are sitting, and then someone's going to get aired out, and me and you are going to have to worry about being crippled for the rest of our lives, or we won't be able to have children, or we'll get shot while we're pregnant. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell. No way. Look at this shit.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us.
By the way, those are ghost guns that they seized last month. That's like the collection of what they seized over the last few months.
Yes, today. We are going to remarks about ghost guns and the problems that we are facing with those in New York from the police commissioner, from the mayor of the city of New York. We also have Chief of Department Ken Corey, First Deputy Commissioner Ed Caban, and Nick Saplina from Everyone Gun Safety USA. He's the Executive Vice President. We'll be talking about the bigger picture here, as well as subject matter experts. We have Manny Katranakis, who is the chief of the NYPD lab and can talk to you about the science and mechanics of these things, as well as Courtney Nylon from the intelligence.
That we caught up. This issue demands our immediate attention from every level of government. Is reflected on what we're seeing on our streets and on these tables. In New York City, the NYPD seized the first ghost gun back in 2018. And in that year, the total number recovered was 17. In 2019, it was 50. By 2020, the number was 150. And then in 2021, it was up to 275. And in just the first 4 months, 2022, our officers have already recovered 153 ghost guns, represent a 314% increase from the same period a year ago.
I mean, you can't dispute numbers. This is just straight numbers. A 315% increase in the, I guess, production or just in the seizing of ghost guns and the amount of ghost guns they seize, which means there must be an uptick in production. There are a couple of you crazy people out here with some digital printers running amok, making weapons every day, selling them like you're selling bags of weed. You guys need to chill. Like ghost guns, I understand you can make money, but if you're a person out there pressing up guns, like people are pressing up pills, like people are bagging up weed and coke, if you're one of those people, you're fucking up the community worse than anybody. Because people that are doing drugs, they are hurting themselves, but people out here with guns are looking to hurt other people. And you're enabling them by continuing to allow them to buy guns that are unregistered and unlicensed. And you're fucking it up for people like us who need real guns. And then who knows if it's going to always work? Like, and I think they are going to get into a discussion about Polymer 80, the company. Let's just see.
So the problem is obvious. And the dangers for the people of New York City are clear. In response, the NYPD has stepped up our efforts to seize, investigate, and build cases concerning these weapons. Together with our law enforcement partners at the local, state, and federal level, we have identified online retailers, tracked their shipments, and made as many arrests as possible before these guns could even be assembled. But it's not enough, because the gun itself does not have the capacity to commit a crime. Yes, we must seize those guns, but we must also hold the people accountable for purchasing them and using them to harm the citizens of our city. And right now.
Wait a second. I understand you want to criminalize the people that are purchasing them, but make sure you find the person that's making them. Because without that person, there could be no marketplace. Without the person out here who's making the ghost guns, there could be no marketplace to even buy it. Okay, if I don't make the pizza, you can't buy the pizza. So let's make sure that we target the right people.
Because these guns are sold mostly online, the website selling them can easily circumvent any regulation attempts. And make no mistake about it, they frequently ship their products to criminals who blatantly disregard our laws. And the federal government's deadline of August 24th to mandate serial number and stamps on any gun parts being sold means that many of these untraceable versions will be purchased just in time for summer in New York City, which which just further emphasizes our need to be prepared.
All right, if you're not from New York City, then you don't get it. But summer in the city, summer in New York City is crime season. Okay, they call it crime season because it is the season. Everyone is out. Okay, people are getting drunk. They're having fun. They're getting offended easily. People are poor. They see you flexing. They want what you've got. People have energy, just enough energy to crawl into your apartment through the skylight. People have just a renewed sense of confidence where they feel like they could just take your Jordans off your feet. Like that is New York City crime, New York City summer shit. So when she says just in time for the summer, like this mandatory regulation needed to have been for May, because if you didn't make it mandatory for every gun to have a serial number on it by the end of April or May, you're pretty much giving a license for these ghost guns to be used and utilized and purchased throughout the majority of the summer, which means that people are going to be out here shooting to kill. I'm sorry. New York is in a very bad place right now. Anyone who could sit on these panels and tell me that I'm over exaggerating or that it's some sort of propaganda, they're not from New York. They don't know what they're talking about. They live in a town where they pull into a cul-de-sac. They've got 6 neighbors. I mean, me and you are not the same. And I think that, you know, if you are a person that doesn't live in a big city, you can't identify with this kind of thing. But if you're from Chicago, if you're from places in, you know, if you're from Atlanta, if you're from LA, any place where there are projects and concentrated numbers of marginalized people, usually those people are us, Black people, Hispanic people, we are targeting each other. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and there are people out here who are looking to take what you got this summer because they ain't get shit yet. You know, they're not getting tax money, so they want to go in your bank account. They might hold a gun to you now and press you about going to an ATM. I mean, it's just not, you shouldn't be walking around as a woman with your Louis bag on and with heels on. You need to be able to walk around with your sneakers, have your money inside of your pockets, no pocketbook, no nothing, travel light, have a little taser on you if you need, have a little bit of pepper spray if you need. You need to have what you need to protect yourself on your person. Don't think you're going to reach into a bag. Did you see those young kids reaching into the bag for a gun? And then nobody shot. It's like people got shot, but it was just like, it just looked like a bad transaction and everyone just got frustrated. And instead of talking, people are so scared that they pull it out. People are very, very scared in New York, even the criminals. And so rather than try to talk things out like criminals did back in the day, I mean, even the criminals are sloppy now. Back in the day, criminals would talk it out for days before they made moves like that. Now it's just young children trying to play boss games and getting frightened, pulling out their piece and killing one another. It's crazy. That's really what we're dealing with here.
To be systematic in our approach and to be all on the same page. Our job is to keep
recognize and make sure that the federal government moves at the right pace. And I take my hat off to this president who nominated a head of the ATF so that we can continue to expand on what is needed to address this real issue. And as mayor of the largest city in America, former police officer and the co-chair of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, I'm going to mobilize mayors across the country because these issues in ghost guns are impacting our cities. And if we do this together, we're not going to get the movement that we deserve in Washington, D.C. We're not going to surrender our city to violence. We're not going to surrender our streets to violence. But I say this over and over again, we need help. We're going to do our job, but we need help. When you remove 2,600 guns, the question is always asked of me, how long is it going to take, Eric? And I knew what we were going to put together in the police department. So I calculated that by the end of January, we will have this crime under control. And then when you look at the apparatus we put in place, that we knew we were going to target these numbers. If you remove 2,600 guns out of the hands of bad people and you arrest bad people, you should be basically at a place that crime is under control. But removing the guns just to have them come back in and removing the bad people just to have them come back to our communities, you are foiling our entire operation.
I mean, he says it like they care. He says it like the criminals are sitting there like, yo, Unc, yo, Mayor, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to do that. Like, no, what are you talking about? Like, this is why, and I understand this is why when Mayor Adams met with those gang leaders and stuff, and they took that photo op and stuff, I understood what he was doing because he wanted to reach out to the young Black and Hispanic boys in the community. But honestly, they thought they got in good with the mayor, and now they think that they could just run amok. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing these young kids, the same ones who are following those leaders that met with Eric Adams. We see them all over the place, killing and destroying the community, pressing up illegal guns, selling bad drugs, and killing people from so many different angles. I don't know what to say. It is just a really crazy place that we're in. And when he says the federal government, I really hope that they do step in so we can have a city to live in. You know, I'm in Africa, but I would love to have I want to be, tri-coastal. I want to be able to move around in the States and also be able to come back to Africa and, leverage what I do in the States out here. And I mean, I need some place to live. It seems like all the places I want to live around my people are just destroyed. Look at this. 2,600.
Destroying the operation. New Yorkers should be living in a
safe city right now based on the actions of the police department. Arrests are up. Gun apprehensions are up. Serious felony crimes arrests are up. When you look at the box score, this is a winning team and winning operation. But everybody is not playing with the same playbook. It's time for everybody to play with the same playbook. It's the only way we're going to win this game. And so I'm proud of the men and women that are serving and protecting our street every day. I'm proud of what they're doing, but I'm also proud of the partnerships that we have. Particularly Nick and their organization are really focusing on gun.
Online retailers which are selling these ghost gun kits and ghost gun parts. And you just have identified over 100 of these online retailers. And the majority of these 100 online retailers are selling the Polymer 80 kits and lower receivers. And 90% of the guns you see on this table and that we seize that are ghost guns in the New York City Police Department are Polymer 80 ghost guns.
Actually, I have two questions. First for the mayor and the second for the police commissioner. Mr. Mayor, in terms of the Romney Smith who was gunman last night, as you know, he was arrested in March 2020 for carrying a gun in his subway. But in October 2020, when he went before the court, the Brooklyn DA, who, as you know, has been reluctant, especially during COVID, to ask for bail, asked for $50,000 bail. And the judge said no, and the guy was put on the street. How is that acceptable?
Well, I think it is a combined problem that we need to look at past records. I'm a big believer in seeing should this person return to the street based on his level of immediate threat and danger to the city. He was out waiting to be sentenced. It's a long time from December until now. It's a long time from the time he was arrested till he was actually in the court system. So it's a combination. The system is bottlenecked. We're taking far too long to address these cases.
You guys can watch the rest on your own time. I mean, honestly, I could do this all day. I could sit here and just pull up news stories for God knows as long as possible. All I want to say is that as a woman, right? As a woman who was born and raised in New York, and I thank God that I've had one parent who's Caribbean. My grandmother's from down south because that got me out of New York certain summers of my life and certain times of my life, certain holidays. I got a chance to get away from the drama and the crazy. But I'll be honest with you, an inner city kid like myself, you grow up in New York, you have such a fond memory of it, but then you will realize how it's always been fucked up. My whole life, it's pretty much been fucked up. I was pretty much born and coming into life during the 90s. So if you're saying it, it's just literally the whole time has been a shit show. Even the 90s was just dangerous. Crack pipes everywhere. People were getting high everywhere. Killings over money. All that stuff. I mean, we had a good, I would say 10, 12 years that were clean and comfortable. I would call those the Bloomberg years, honestly. But all of that was quickly erased by de Blasio. So unfortunately, we suffered. And now it's going to take us a while. It's going to take us a while to get back to where we were. It's going to take us a while before we can get to a place where people feel comfortable walking around with their shit on them. Where people feel comfortable leaving their door unlocked. I mean, even though we don't do that in New York, there was a time where you could do that. And now, well, I'm not going to lie, there probably was never a time you could do that, but there was a perceived couple years where we were feeling real comfortable and there was just love everywhere and everyone was being taken care of. Even the homeless person had a place. Even the mental person had a place. Even the criminals had a place. It's sad, but they did. Now we're in a place where it's like, there's no telling where this shit is going. There's no telling what has to be, even if the federal government comes in, my worry is to what level do they come in and how do they assert their power and how do they affect our neighborhood and community and how do they make it safe for us while also maintaining comfort level so that we don't feel like we have Big Brother in our community. So to be honest with you, the way I feel is just, we're gonna have to do the best we could do with what we got. We can't really front like this is something that's going to turn around in 6 months to a year. As far as I'm concerned, I can have children here and raise them up until about 4 or 5 years old and still come back to New York that has problems because this is a 4 or 5, 6 year strategy to clean this shit up. It's going to take 2 mayor terms for him to clean this up. I mean, the thing has gone, it really has gone absolutely off the rails, and I hope for the best, just knowing that I probably will spend the majority of my life living abroad. And most New Yorkers who have anything who could afford to live abroad are going to do that. Most New Yorkers who have anything who could afford to move to another city inside of the country is going to do that. I mean, everyone's moving. Everyone's leaving these democratic cities who have pretty much gone off the rails. It's been a situation where I don't know. I don't even fuck Democratic, right? Because that's not me. I don't care about politics in that way. I care about crime, but I don't care about politics in that way. But it seems like all the inner cities, man, with all the Black children, those are the ones getting hit. And so we're in the place where we're just going to have to pray and we're just going to have to, choose to shelter ourselves in a place that is comfortable, where we don't have to worry about gun violence. I mean, I walk around here all the time in the compound. The compound does lock at a certain time. There's not much going on in this place. I mean, every now and then something, will happen on a cultural note, but there's really no gun violence. And that's what makes Lagos more safe than New York City at the moment. There's no gun violence, okay? People love and respect each other and their old people here and their babies here. So until we can love and respect ourselves and our children in New York City, it has absolutely no place for me. And A Black Beauty is out. Peace.